So we obviously have two board meetings to make comments, so I'm going to make some tonight that need to be on the record. People need to understand. They need to pay attention. And, say the least, the past week's been interesting for many of us. It has truly been an honor and a privilege to serve as the mayor of my hometown. When I was elected, when I got into office, I was shocked by the financial condition and the infrastructure of the village once I got into office. Our technology was non-existent. Our hiring and employment practices were the worst I've ever seen, and they were riddled with patronage, automatic raises. There were no performance reviews, but we changed that. Today, we have the best-in-class IT systems. Thank you to IT and for everyone for helping implement that. Our parks and road infrastructure are decades ahead of where they would have been. So thank you to all of our staff for making that happen, from financially to implementing the project, from engineering, Parks and Rec and Public Works. We've accomplished all of this while lowering our debt. So, but most importantly, we shifted the culture. We shifted the culture from one of patronage to one based on production, based on competence, and based on merit. And I say we very deliberately. This community has been served by a board filled with some of the most dedicated and professional people I've ever worked with. They bring tremendous talent, skill, and most importantly, character. Not a single one of them played politics ever. They solved problems. They did the right thing. For the first time in over 50 years, Orland Park had a board where there was not one person on it that was self-interested. Well, many good people have served before. From at least 1974 until 2021, we have never had a board where everyone was simply in it to serve. When people ask me what my greatest accomplishment was as mayor, I say without hesitation, it was recruiting these individuals to serve. One day, the people of the Orland Park will look back and recognize that this board, along with the one from the early 1970s, should be the model for future boards. Regarding the most recent election, it's clear I lost because I refused to call for a ceasefire in the Middle East, because I opposed Hamas. People brought a religious war over 6,000 miles away that has been ongoing for a few millennia, was brought here to Orland Park. Let that sink in. This happened in Orland Park, Illinois. Despite that, I am very deeply thankful. Over the last 8 years, I stood between the people of Orland Park and some very, very dark forces at a great personal cost. My wife bore the brunt of this too. She stood strong because she understood the impact we were making. I've heard this talk for the last 6 months about bringing civility back. But what it really means is, now that they're in charge, they'll stop trying to destroy the town and those running it. When I took office on Monday, May 15th, 2017, by the next morning, a trustee had already filed criminal complaints against me. At the Attorney General's office right now, there's 1,358 pages of complaints against me since I've been mayor. And I later learned that your incoming mayor, someone I once considered a friend, had filed a criminal complaint against me during the campaign itself. Day one. He didn't stop there. Along with his hand-picked village manager, he led a secret investigation and levied more false charges. He accused me and 3 trustees remaining on the board of criminal wrongdoing for investing in our roads. These and other baseless accusations persisted for the 2 years that they got on the board. And I'm sorry that Mike, Bill, and Cindy had to deal with it. That is what they now call civility. In these years, I've been the subject of over 140 defamatory robocalls. My wife received anonymous letters and robocalls that jeopardized her safety and her career, just because she's married to me, the mayor. Throughout the recent campaign, Sean Morrison, Trustee Katsinas, and I received anonymous threats. The entire board and others were targeted with extortion emails and fabricated videos that were released on community forums and social media. Investigations are ongoing, but in Cook County, closure is rare. Boxes and documents were stuffed in my mailbox. A glitter bomb was sent to our deputy police chief's desk. A swatting call was made to the suicide hotline at our deputy chief's home. Flyers falsely accusing Trustee Healy and his family of theft and other heinous acts were distributed. One person, Mike Henry, was convicted for some of this. He is currently facing a civil lawsuit from the village. And by the way, making these comments because these texts and robocalls have continued. against Sean Morrison and Cindy Katsinas because they're still in office. More than 24 lawsuits have been filed against me, the board, and others, over 90% from Mike Henry. Since 2019, Mike Henry has filed complaints against over 85 people, including elected officials, judges, government agencies, and business owners. He's alleged over 39 crimes ranging from fraud to pedophilia. He sent over 250 FOIA requests that poor Alex has had to deal with, and was the source for many of the attacks used by my opponent during the campaign. This is the man they based their corruption narrative on that we heard about today. A convicted felon who once threatened a federal judge and IRS agents. These attacks went after Trustee Milani's wife and kids, Bill Healy's family, my brother, my children, and even my deceased father. What we experienced over the past 8 years can be described by 3 words: bullying, which is aggressive behavior meant to intimidate or harm; mobbing, which is a deliberate attempt to force a person out of their workplace by humiliation, general harassment, emotional abuse, and/or terror; gang stalking, which is coordinated and repeated harassment by a group who organizes around a shared purpose with no one person solely responsible. I fought back because it's in my DNA. But frankly, I'm thankful to be relieved of that burden. The behavior from these weasels and miscreants is the reason many good people never run for office. I still believe most people in Orland Park do not support this kind of behavior, but also too many chose not to engage, hoping to stay involved. Let me remind everyone in Orland Park, the bullies, mobs, and gangs eventually come for everyone. As Edmund Burke said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. For 8 years, I stood up for you. The outgoing trustees did it for 4. And thank you to Joni, Sean, and Brian for that. Cindy and Mike and Bill have done it for 6, and they're going to be your voice for 2 more. But a few people can't hold back the mob forever. It truly does take a village, and this is your village. Now it's your turn. Pay attention. Hold them accountable. Don't let the graft and the grifters return. In 2 weeks, I'll outline our achievements over the last 8 years. It'll be a lot more positive than this. There's a lot to be proud of. You've heard a lot of it tonight from the board. But whether that progress continues, it really isn't up to Bill, Mike, and Cindy. Certainly not up to the 4 of us that are leaving. It's up to you. And I hope you pay attention, hold them accountable, and keep our village moving forward. Thank you.